Oh my gosh, it is Friday, and everybody knows what that means. That means I'm wearing my Yoda shirt, and I'm with my co-host today on Finance Friday, Red Sonia herself.
Woo!
Welcome. There
What's
she
up,
is.
everybody? Sonia Ramirez, Opposites Attract Podcast, coming at you.
And
trusting.
That's right.
Yes.
We're here on Fridays talking about your money, talking about ways as an entrepreneur to make more money. You know, why not? You know, it's kind of the business we're in. We're here to make money and have aspirations and dreams that we're trying to fulfill. Right?
Yes.
We have lots of aspirations, and we like to spread out. Right?
Yes, you do.
Sonia, may I be honored to ask you to spread out and show me how to make money?
Well, I'm going to have to ask my husband.
Oh, yeah, me too.
You too.
I might have to ask your husband too. But yeah, on Fridays we get together and we talk about these finance things and things the way we make money and things that are very relevant to us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, because I've been in business solely on my own for the past 8 years, and it's very challenging to overcome consistent challenges year over year. There's always something new, and diversifying yourself is a really big thing. And we started talking about that and ways to generate income.
Yep. That's why it's very important to have that thick skin, because you never know what tomorrow brings.
Oh, how thick is your skin?
It's pretty thick.
It
It has to be. Especially where we are today. You know, with the real estate where it's at, and owning a signing agency, people aren't refinancing like they were. Interest rates are slightly creeping up. There's not that much of a supply, so it's like, okay, what do you do? And you can't wait until the last minute to think about what am I going to do to supplement my income.
Yeah, and I will say RCO Network isn't my primary income source, and it is one of those things that overlaps my primary business. My primary business is real estate, and yours is really connected with mine in a way. It's connected via notary services.
Yes.
And so whatever happens in the real estate market on my end, you definitely see on your end and how those things manifest. And if you're doing signings and the housing market is slow, then that's just something.
That's right. So with that, I've had a few individuals that I've had some conversations with, and having that mastermind group, right? Those individuals that you talk to that are on the same path as you, and they're talking about diversifying and making sure that, general notary is being included, and working with law firms for estate planning, and now looking into builder business, right? Because today, that's what you see a lot of is new builds. So it's like figuring out, okay, now, what's out there, and really educating yourself and listening to podcasts, reading books, or just listening to people that are in the same industry that are giving you insight on, where things are going. So it's always looking ahead. And even though the signing agency is not as busy, there are good things, right? I have a rental property, you have a rental property, and rent is up. I mean, it's not good for everybody, but people that are in our shoes that have rental properties, we're like, hey, right? Even though we're losing here, we're kind of gaining here.
So I think the challenge when it comes to a lot of entrepreneurship, and you're a true entrepreneur when you're constantly faced with those new things and that you weren't expected. And I think what really identifies you and really helps is being able to bounce back from whatever comes your way.
Yes.
I mean, you are sound mind and sound body of yourself and in your business, to where, if you have adversity, where you have a challenge, that you're able to bounce back and think of a different way. So you're constantly always thinking about 6 months ahead, and which is also the same thing which you have to do with your income too.
Yes. I think what saves us entrepreneurs is being sure that we are resourceful. I don't remember the movie back in the day, which movie it was, but he opens up his coat and he's like, what would you like? A watch, a bracelet? It's like,
I don't know. I don't watch the same movies you watch.
Whatever you need, I got.
Are you porn?
No, I'm porn.
I don't know what movies you watch.
Anyways, it's an old movie. I would outdate myself, but that's entrepreneurship. It's just like, thinking outside the box. And for me, it took me quite some time to do just that, because when you're not used to it, it doesn't come easy.
No, correct. I mean, I think having a portfolio of income streams, So I see this on time and time again. There's a lot of people that decide they want to start a makeup business, and then they go and do like the pink drink thing, and then they go and do some other MLM like Amway. I almost got into Amway, by the way. So they do all these like various things, but then they don't seem to get it right the first time. You know, and so they're constantly bouncing back. And, the one funny thing I love hearing is when somebody says, I'm an influencer. I was like, are you really? Well, I have 1,000 followers on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, they're all okay, whatever. But it's just so funny that, we dabble in so many things, but don't yet focus in on one thing at a time.
Right.
And I definitely believe that you have to have multiple income streams for sure, because as one dries up or one is impacted, you have others to rely on. So, at the core of it, like I play guitar. And so I play house parties like back in the day. And I still do that every so often. And now it's for free. I'll go out there and play a house party. But back in the day, I would take tips.
Really? So when are you going to play for us? I think I have a couple dollars.
Oh. I'm not wearing my G-string, so we can.
You're
That's
not
for a
wearing
different
your
day.
elephant
That's for
underwear?
How do you know about the elephant underwear?
I don't know. No.
Where have you
I've been
been?
married for 13 years. I know a lot of things. You got to keep it spicy in the bedroom. So, you got to use your imagination and
Wear elephant underwear?
wear elephant.
Is that what he wears?
No. But
To
I
make
bought
myself
him-
feel better, I bought elephant.
I did
underwear.
buy him some of these Christmas boxers, so whenever
Yeah.
he comes, I can hear him jingle. No. That was so funny.
Do I wanna know?
That's not what I meant, but that was funny. No. Okay, focus.
Yes,
Let's
you
bring
gotta
it back around. Let's
focus.
bring it
No more of the whiskey for you. So I was told a wise man once, or by a wise man once, have several forms of income, no matter how big or small, and save. I do agree with that. So again, you have to have a reservoir, a reserve of about 6 months of income. Whatever you have to know your expenses. You have to know all of everything, your debt.
Yes.
And manage that, and really manage a lot of that, and have again 6 months reserves at all times.
Yes.
Because shit just happens, like
yeah.
in real estate, these last, I would say, what is it, March now? These last 3 months, interest rates have increased about 1%. Inventory's low.
Yep.
My real estate is being impacted slightly, not as much as, I anticipated, but it is, and it's very seeable. But I also have other forms of income, like RCO Network is one. It is not the most profound one, but it is one. I have videography, which is I do videos on the side. I also do photography, and last week I made about $200 just taking some photos.
So what's so hilarious is when I first met you,
Oh, shit.
and we met and we were talking about the podcast, and then you started mentioning this and you're mentioning that, and I'm like, Robert, what do you do? I was so confused, and you're like, I have fun. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah.
But no, it's exactly that. And what I was going to share with you is that, being an entrepreneur, before I met my husband, I was on my own. Right. So I didn't have that W-2, because you always make fun of me. Oh,
I didn't have a W-2 before I got married
Find a wife
either.
that has a W-2.
That's oh my God.
But that is good.
Go
Anyway,
ahead with what you were saying. And I'll get back
so
to it.
I was, an entrepreneur and doing it on my own.
Yeah.
And I've always kept my debt at a minimal. Always. I was never that person to charge. But when I became an entrepreneur, even more so, because you never know what tomorrow brings, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So when my husband and I decided that we were going to grow another business, and that's the first thing we did, is we became debt free, and we've been debt free since 2013. But that took time. That took so much time, because we would pay everything off and then rack it up. Then pay everything off and then rack it up.
Well,
and then there was that time where we just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and enough is enough. And that was the end of it.
Well, it depends on the debt, right? So if the debt is included, so I took out a small business loan to buy more equipment, and all the equipment you see here. So I invested that debt into something that generates income. So not all debt is bad.
Correct.
But you have to have a way to pay that shit back.
Right. But if your business isn't going that well, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were already preparing
Yeah.
for the shift. Now that we see the shift in the signing agency, now it's like, okay, we've already been looking into Turo, which is like, it's purchasing vehicles, renting it out. And anyways, I have a few friends that are doing it, that are doing absolutely amazing. I did some research on it, and we're about to buy 2 vehicles. Okay. And it's like, okay, why use our own money? Why pay cash? Because we can. Why pay cash for them?
Yeah.
Why don't we use somebody, use other people's money, especially because we have good credit.
Yeah.
We'll get a lower interest rate. But that's another thing as an entrepreneur, is focusing on all the aspects that it takes, because you may need a business loan. And if your credit isn't on point, how are you going to get that business loan? If you want to start a new business, right? Same thing. So it's like making sure you have all your ducks in a row.
And that's a challenge with an entrepreneur. You have to have a history of income in order to get a loan. And I believe you can get smaller loans, from a bank, especially you open up a business bank account. Mm-hmm. They do approach you with just some small lines of credit, but you have to use that credit in order to bolster income in some way. If you're using debt to start a Turo business, then I believe that's a good way, as long as the expenses or the revenue outweighs the expenses.
Yes.
And you're generating an income, unless you use that expenses as a tax write-off for some other income.
Right. And that's another thing, though, you got to focus on, those write-offs. You'd be amazed at what you can write off.
Oh, and Lindsay says she hopes your Turo business takes off.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Me too. We're within 2 years. We're hoping that, we are in the green. So, hey, it's just like, and that's another thing, is just doing the research, knowing what you're getting into. Right?
Yeah.
Talking to those people, your tax accountant, CPA, fiduciary, whoever you have on board, if you have those individuals on board, and to get their advice. Talk to the attorney. Should we put these vehicles under an LLC because someone might get into an accident? There might be something major going on, so that they don't.
Taking on insurance is, another expense and stuff too. And you have to, there's a lot to think about. But again, at the end of the day, as long as you're generating income, you're all setting. And I think at the heart of it is really, again, establishing a portfolio of income streams.
Yes.
And I think if there was a takeaway for everybody here, or anybody watching right now, is to focus in on one income stream at a time. Because if you try to do 4 different things, if you become the makeup person, the gel person, the toothpaste, I've run across Ronan and whatever Fields, they do toothpaste.
Oh, Rodan,
whatever. If you're selling toothpaste, juice drinks, makeup, and whatever else, you're not really focusing on one stream of income at a time. Establish, get a base, get a certain clientele that are servicing that form of income, and build it. And I think when it's stable and sustainable.
Yes.
Then you can go on to the next thing.
Yes, you have to be that expert. That's why there's so many people that jump from one thing to another, because they never really dive in. They never jump in with 2 feet. They have one in and one out. And so when this doesn't start to generate revenue, instead of figuring out why, they jump into something new. And a lot of people, multi-level companies, do that.
Well, they want so the thing with I used to kind of like really be against MLMs
until you met me. No.
Oh no, that's for a different reason.
Get out
I used to be against MLMs, but really what it does is it kind of frames you a little bit on how to seek business out, kind of puts you in that sales mindset with some framework. When you get into a business and you have an idea and you started from an idea, it takes a long time, because the base of it, the base product of everything you do, every idea has to be at the service of somebody else. Mm-hmm. People will pay for a value, people will pay for a benefit, but if you're just going in it for money, then people won't connect with it.
Right. No.
People have to connect with it, and they have to feel
right.
it. And it's that journey, that process of learning how to serve somebody, how to make that product or service better for somebody else. That's the journey of an entrepreneur.
Yes. Service always comes first.
And it will make you money in the long run.
That's right.
And even if it doesn't make you money in the short term.
Yep. And that comes from the heart, right? People can tell when you're after, a sale, right?
Yeah.
People can tell when you're after a sale, or if your heart is truly in what it is that you're doing and you really care about the person and you're really wanting to help them.
Yeah, because I think you tend to stumble around, and if you're not confident in what you're saying, because this means a lot. I mean, I need to make the sale, and these are the things that are running in your mind, and that's very evident in your body language and your connection. And if you're so focusing on the money, they're going to see that and they're going to walk away.
Right. So to diversify your income,
Yeah.
It all stems from just, with Legal Shield, I mentioned this, and the reason why we're mentioning MLMs is because that's how my entrepreneurship, that's how it started. And
Yeah.
I loved it. Still,
Yeah, I think the biggest
generate.
the biggest part about entrepreneurship is the sense of independence, and whatever you decide to do, wherever means and direction you go, it's yours and yours alone. Nobody can take it away. So those are the biggest aspects of that. But it does take a long time. Like it took me about 5 years into real estate before I actually felt like I had a business. And most people give up that first year.
Was it because you felt more confident with what it is that you were doing? Like you knew it, like you felt like you were an expert at this point?
I felt that I was benefiting, and I really had to learn how I was benefiting, and really the sense of trust that I had with people, and I had to always look through the lens of their goals and their aspirations, and not necessarily disregard mine, but I had to bring that experience into the value and things that I shared with people.
Right.
Because if they don't see that, then they're just going to walk.
Yes.
Like I was saying earlier, like the biggest sign that people trust you is when they sign shit and they don't even know what they're signing.
Right.
That's honestly that is the true marker of somebody trusting you. It's like, oh, I better go back and check that because I don't know if I checked everything. And I check like things several times, but sometimes I do miss things. And it's a tremendous sign when somebody just, like I said, signs a contract or signs something and they didn't even read the thing. That's one of those true markers. But going back to assets. So ways to generate income and do that, a large part of that is assets. And I think the number one thing, the goal is to fix your credit. Whatever that means to you, fix your credit. If you got shit you're paying off since high school, then you got some problems. You need to focus. You might need some help that way. But fixing your credit gets you the one biggest asset that you need as an entrepreneur that you will leverage off of time and time again, that I've leveraged off of, that Sonia's leveraged off of, is real estate. You need to purchase something.
Yes. And I would like to share this story because
Share
at
a
the
story.
beginning, like we have, my husband and I, we have our investments and we, try to max them out, every year. And we have the one rental property.
Yep.
And I remember sitting with this older couple and, being a signing agent, you can see everything, right? Their income, their liabilities, all of that. And they were doing something right.
Yeah.
So I decided to ask them that, if there was one thing that they could share, that they did great, something that they were proud of and something that they wish that they would have done different. And this is what they said, you want to diversify. Being an entrepreneur, you want to diversify. He said, because I had plans on retiring. And I am so glad, he said, that I decided to not only to invest my income, but also to have real estate. He's like, because right now, he's like, I lost my ass in investments. He's like, and my real estate saved my ass.
Yeah, having hard assets is one thing that you want to focus in on, like camera equipment. I will say, again, going back to the idea of having good credit, the way I got a small business loan, I applied to the SBA about 2 years ago, right when COVID hit. And that was to sustain and purchase some of these products that you're seeing here. But they checked my personal credit. And so they gave me a line of the SBA, so the Small Business Administration. It's a federal program, and they gave me $20,000 to purchase some of the products that are here. I mean, some of the camera lenses, they're crazy. I mean, they'll cost anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,000 a lens.
Wow.
And the one this one that you're looking at, that was $2,500 lens. And so some of those assets pay back in dividends over time. I don't have to buy another lens. But over time, if I keep getting more photo jobs, at $100 or $200 at a time, that's going to pay for itself. Right. And I will still have it after it's already been paid.
Gotcha.
So having good credit. Number one, fix your credit because that'll get you lower interest rates on everything.
And I would love to possibly have a future podcast with that because I know some little ins and outs and some secrets that can help people build their credit because I did exactly that.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah. You're signed up. Let's sign you up right now. And so the second part is the focus should not necessarily be buying a bunch of shit you don't need unless it's for the business and you're using it as a business expense. So I think the second thing in that line is also having a business entity. And that's not necessarily a hard asset, but you need the business entity in order to write off some expenses.
Yes, yes.
And not that I'm a financial advisor in any way. Not that we're giving financial advice.
Throw that out there just in
It's
case.
just experience. It's also in the description, so do not take anything I say into account. You might lose all your money. I'm just saying. But this is what I did. and so the second thing is to start a business entity, because anything you do, you're going to want to generate revenue, but you can also use about 2 years, and this is for my CPA. You can use about 2 years of expenses against that business as write-offs. And then if you need paper towels to wipe down your desk, that's a business expense.
Yes.
If you need toilet paper for the office, that's a business expense.
Right. Or a bottle of whiskey for one of your guests.
That could be. Yes. That is a business expense.
I wrote your.
Otherwise, it could be an advertising expense. So there's other expenses you can categorize it as. When I do events, whenever we have the caterer here, I put that in my advertising budget.
Mm-hmm. My husband and I, we have the podcast. So, we go out for dinner and we're talking business. So it's a write-off. We decided.
Not that we're CPAs either, so don't believe anything. So talk to your CPA about different aspects.
Keep it legal. Keep it legal.
Yes, so again, in the line of generating income, the first primary goal should be to acquire some sort of hard asset. And I believe that should be real estate in some capacity, because later on you can leverage off that. Right. You can rent those out. You can make money. Like in the condo I purchased about 5 years ago, my mortgage payment is roughly about $400 a month. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably going to rent that out for about $1,700 a month.
Yes.
So leveraging off that, especially in times when they're a little bit challenging, like real estate, my primary business is a little bit challenged right now. So I'm going to be leveraging off some other things to get me through that in order to do that. But it also gives me time to explore other things like podcasting.
Yes. It's always a good idea to prepare for the future in any situation. Entrepreneurship, not entrepreneurship. Yeah. Just always being able to have a backup plan and making sure that. But you also have to know where you're going, where you're heading, and have those goals written down and make sure that you're tapping into that and looking into that to make sure that you're on the right path.
And buy shit that makes you money.
Yes, and buy shit that makes you money. That's
like personally, I bought a guitar, and I use that for events and other things in the past. So I could essentially use it as a write-off.
Okay.
These camera equipment, everything that I bought, I use here at RCO Network, is a depreciating asset. So I can leverage off that, make that purchase, but also use it as an asset. So assets, hard assets that you can leverage off of to generate income is what you should be buying. Not the home theater.
So go buy some gold, go buy some silver, go buy some bullets and some handguns. No.
Could you use bullets as a
yes. Where we're at right now?
My home protection business? Who knows? I don't know. But the other part of that is also equities. So buying stocks. You get into the stock trade, right?
I do, but I can't say I'm an expert at that. I have my fiduciary who helps with everything. And then my husband and I, we got into some Bitcoin, some crypto. We're losing our butts right now, but hey, it will come around, right? That's what what goes up must come down, and what must go down comes up. So,
well, the nice part about stocks is that you can purchase them, and it's not like sometimes I used to equate stocks as like Vegas, going to Vegas and buying, but it doesn't work that way. It does seem like it's gambling in a way, but it really isn't. You're buying a stock, and it may not perform as well as you do today. Like a lot of the stocks that I had are not performing as well. At the beginning of the year, where there's a big dip. Mm-hmm. And so I sold off some of my stocks as profit, but I only had like 1 to like 5% margins on those. But that's money. That's 5% on a stock is way better than like 0.005% at a savings account.
Right.
Right. You have to invest into things that are going to make you money. Putting your money into stocks, or like what I'm doing right now, I'm pulling money out of stocks and I'm putting it into my house, my primary residence. My primary residence, again, real estate. Put a little star on that. Real estate, I'm putting money into real estate so later on I can leverage off that. Either that's through a rental or reselling. Because I don't believe real estate's going to really take an impact as far as price-wise. It's going to slow down, but I don't think there's going to be like a crash or anything in the next few months.
Because the people that are purchasing homes are coming in with big cash. They're coming in from Washington. They're coming in from Oregon, California. So I think a lot of people are waiting for that crash, and I don't, it's not going to be a crash. There's going to be an adjustment. Not that I'm an expert or anything.
How big are your cash?
I have enough cash flow. It can always be better though, right? Like it's always like how to make your money work for you instead of you working for your money.
So as we're approaching the end of the show today, the one thing that I want to emphasize is you have to have overlapping income streams and diversify.
Yes.
We talk about that over and over again. Since the beginning of the show today, it was diversify your income streams.
Yes. And I know that you're...
I want to know.
So I'm just thinking about, what's been happening in the last couple of days, like for myself.
Go for it.
So, I have mentioned the Legal Shield business. I haven't been focused on that. But so many people know what I do, right? People know that I own an agency. People know that I am a rep for Legal Shield. People know that, I have a rental property. That rental property is going to be up. The tenant's moving. So I have people calling me, hey, is it ready? And so diversifying. I just got a call yesterday from, a client of mine who's wanting me to go in and help them with the employee enrollment with Legal Shield, which is a step of residual income. So having overlapping, like you were saying, it is important because when one is down, the other one will supplement the income. But just making sure that whatever it is that you're doing, that you're passionate about it and it's something that you're into.
Yeah, and again, I think the biggest mistake that people make when they get into an entrepreneurial role is that they're not making any money right away. And you are sold in these MLMs and everything else that you're going to make quick money fast all the time. And that's the pitch to get you to sign on. Can you make a career out of those? Absolutely. And you're a true testament to that. I mean, Legal Shield, if it's a true MLM or whatever it was, you're a testament to that. You made money and you made a career out of it. So there are some honest, sincere ways to do that, but really is to focus on one thing at a time, and it's not going to be fast. I didn't make, when I first got into real estate, like full time, I didn't make any money for the first 6 months, and I remember like looking at my bank account and having like $75 left, and I was stressing the F out. Luckily, this is where I talk about leveraging on other assets like your family and friends. I was living with a friend who didn't charge me rent. And a mom that was really supportive. Not everybody has their parents.
Right.
But my mom, I knew that at the end of the day, if I had to go back to Douglas, if I had to go back to my hometown, that I would have a warm meal and a bed, to go to. I think that's our biggest fear is being homeless. And if you have good relationships and you're in a good position in life and you're serving other people, you'll never grow hungry. You'll never not have a roof over your head. There'll be people in your life that care about you. So those are I think the biggest fears, but leveraging off those assets more than anything else, the people that are around you and being respectful and being supportive of them too, but again, overlapping your income streams, I think is the focus and focusing on one thing at a time. That's the one thing I've learned today.
One thing at a time.
What have you learned today, Miss?
No more whiskey before a podcast. No.
I do fine. I do quite well, thank you very much.
I know. I need to start eating before I come here.
She was stressed today, so we had to loosen her up.
It's all
a little
good.
bit,
Yes, thanks.
Hi.
It's always fun. It's always fun.
And what have you learned today, Miss? Or any takeaways?
Any takeaways? Let's see here. I feel that just listening to your experience, it gives me confidence that that we are on the right path, my husband and I, with diversifying our income, with the way we've grown our business, being prepared for the future, that we're on the right track. But it's like there's always a next level, right? When you feel like you're stagnant, there's something else. It's time for growth, and growth is always scary. Change is always scary. But when it's time to grow, it's time to grow, and you got to do what you got to do. So.
Absolutely. So we're here every Friday talking about finance, talking about money, and Red Sonja. Hello.
Woo!
And Trust Inc. is your business currently?
Yes.
And you're also in Legal Shield. You're also...
Opposites Attract podcast. We have merch by Amazon. So we have t-shirts, pop sockets, phone sockets, plug sockets, cock sockets.
So I told you she's very sexual. She's a very sexual person. Until next time, until next Friday, please hold it back. Keep it quiet. because there are more exciting things to come. Oh boy.
Bye.
See you guys.